Hey guys, it's David with The Verge, and this is the Samsung Galaxy S4. It's a brand new flagship phone from Samsung. So the first thing you notice is that it's not actually that different from the Galaxy S3. It has kind of the same design ID, the same even feel in your hand. It's a little slimmer, a little lighter, but basically the same kind of feel. There are a bunch of things that are different though. The screen is bigger. It's a 5-inch 1080p Super AMOLED display, and it has a pentile pixel layout, which we don't love, but the screen looks great, and it's super high res and really shouldn't cause any problems. It's also more powerful than ever. It has the Exynos 5 processor, and either comes with that or a Qualcomm chip, depending on the region you're in. It comes with 16, 32, or 64 gigs of internal storage, plus a micro SD slot. And it's coming with Android 4.2.2 Jelly Bean, which is the latest version of Android, and not a lot of phones launch with that, which is pretty exciting. Samsung's trying to do a lot of crazy software things, and they really need power to pull it off. So one of the big things Samsung talked about is the camera. There's a 13 megapixel camera on the back of the phone, and a 2 megapixel camera on the front, and that allows them to do a lot of different things. One is this dual shot mode, where you can actually see the front and rear cameras at the same time. And they brought some of the Galaxy camera modes to this device as well, so it's definitely their most powerful camera ever. We'll have to test it out more to see how it actually does. There's all kinds of wild software stuff on this phone, and you can see just from all the things you have to enable or disable that there's a lot going on here. One of the big things is called Air Gesture, and basically what it lets you do is swipe through photos or scroll in your web browser without ever actually touching the phone. So you can just scroll right through all your photos without having to touch, and you can do the same in a web browser, or you can scroll through your tabs, and it's kind of a gimmicky thing, but it does seem to work relatively well, and it's cool if your hands are dirty or wet or what have you. There's also Air View, which I think is even cooler. So in the browser, without actually touching the screen, you just sort of hover over it, and then you can pick what you want to see. And even Flipboard has done some things with it so that you can hover over it and see stories within a particular section without ever actually having to touch it. One of the biggest things, and sort of the most surprising from Samsung, is S Health. They love putting S in front of things, and they're basically trying to replace Fitbit and the Fuel Band and all these different things. So there's a pedometer and a temperature and humidity gauge inside this phone, and it'll actually track your steps as you walk, or it'll track your heart rate via a device that works with Bluetooth, or it'll track the temperature and humidity, and it'll tell you all these things about kind of how you're doing over time. You can see, you know, we're in kind of an ugly hotel room, so the surroundings are poor, and you can track the food that you're eating, and all this different stuff. So it's all built into here, and they're selling some add-on accessories as well. And it's just a pretty clever thing. It seems like something that should have been built into your phone forever ago, and it's going to be interesting to see how this works. There's also Group Play. Samsung loves doing things that involve lots of their different phones. And in Group Play, you can set music or photos or documents or what have you to all of the different phones at the same time, and it'll sync music so you can listen as a group. And again, we've seen a lot of these features on Samsung devices before, and they're kind of gimmicky and we don't necessarily use them a lot, but they're relatively clever features. So there's also an IR blaster inside the device, which lets you use this to control your TV and your whole home theater, and they use some of the same technology they've used before. They're using Peel's TV Guide, so you can see kind of what's on TV and flip through and use it to actually control your set-top box. And there's on-demand content and all this stuff that you can watch on your phone and then push straight to your TV. It's kind of approximating AirPlay plus a bunch of extra TV Guide functionality, and it's pretty cool on other devices and is a smart thing to have here. So that's really it. This phone's going to be out on all 4 major US carriers in the second quarter of this year. It's also going to be on some regional carriers and be all over the world. There's no word on pricing yet, except to say that it's going to be a very premium phone. And this is definitely Samsung's flagship device going forward, and that is the Samsung Galaxy S4.